Professor Zixthar's xenobiology lecture hall fell silent as the human exchange student collapsed face-first onto her desk with a sound that made the Cavalian student's sensory stalks retract in alarm. Is the Deathworlder deceased?" whispered Morp, a gelatinous being from Sector 7, his translucent form quivering with concern. Professor Zixthar, a distinguished academic with 17 PhDs and crystalline skin that refracted light in scholarly patterns, approached the motionless human cautiously. The species known as humans came from a Category 12 death world, a planet so hostile that merely reading about it required psychological counseling for most civilized species. Every student in the class had signed liability waivers just to share the same atmospheric mixture as Sarah Chen. "Ms. Chen?" The professor's voice modulator pitched with uncertainty. "Do you require medical intervention?" A muffled groan emanated from the human. "Coffee," she mumbled into the desk surface. "Need coffee?" The word meant nothing to anyone present. The translation matrix in everyone's neural implants glitched, unable to find an equivalent in any of the 47,000 known galactic languages. Sarah lifted her head, revealing red-rimmed eyes and a complexion that had gone from its usual healthy tan to an alarming grayish shade. To the assembled aliens, she looked like a creature on the verge of catastrophic system failure. "I ran out yesterday," she explained, her voice hoarse. "Didn't think it would be this bad." Professor Zixthar accessed the human's biometric data from her student medical file. "Your neurochemical levels are severely depleted. Your adenosine receptors are firing erratically. Ms. Chen, what is this coffee substance? Is it a medication?" "It's a beverage," Sarah said, managing to sit upright through what appeared to be tremendous effort. "Made from beans. Well, seeds, actually. From Earth." The class erupted in concerned chittering and clicking. A beverage? The Deathworlder was suffering withdrawal from a beverage. Zixthar's academic curiosity overwhelmed his concern. "Describe this substance's properties." Sarah pulled up a holographic display from her personal device, her hands shaking slightly. The chemical composition of coffee materialized in the air, and the classroom's collective gasp created a minor pressure change. "By the eternal voids," breathed Zixthar, his crystalline structure flickering with shock. This is a Class 9 stimulant. The caffeine content alone would be lethal to 94% of known species. And you're telling me humans consume this voluntarily, recreationally? "Multiple times daily," Sarah confirmed, a hint of pride creeping into her exhausted voice despite her condition. A Threskel student, whose species was known for their risk assessment capabilities, pulled up comparative data. "Professor, according to these readings, the concentration of methylxanthines in this coffee would trigger cardiac arrest in most oxygen breathers. The acidity levels would dissolve Corvallian chitin. The temperature at which humans consume it, near boiling water temperature, would cook planarian flesh." "And yet," Zixthar mused, manipulating the holographic display, "humans have evolved to not merely tolerate this substance but to develop a biological dependency on it. Remarkable." "We didn't evolve for it," Sarah corrected, her head sinking back toward the desk. "We just started drinking it. Now we can't stop." The implications sent ripples of shock through the classroom. Humans had voluntarily introduced a toxic stimulant into their systems with such regularity that their biology had adapted to require it. Morp undulated nervously. "What happens if you don't receive this coffee?" "Headaches, fatigue, irritability, difficulty concentrating, depression," Sarah listed. "I'm currently experiencing all of them." "This is a textbook case of substance dependency," exclaimed a Vrelian student, their feathers puffing with academic excitement. "But on a civilization-wide scale." Professor Zixthar was already accessing the galactic database. "According to these records, coffee consumption on Earth exceeds 2 billion cups per day." 2 billion. The humans have industrialized the production of what amounts to liquid rocket propellant for personal consumption. He pulled up more data, his scholarly enthusiasm building. "The chemical structure of caffeine is similar to compounds we use in Starship emergency power systems. The humans are essentially running their biological processes on the same energy principles that we use to achieve faster-than-light travel." Sarah, despite her misery, managed a weak smile. "Explains why we're so productive." "Productive?" Zixthar's voice rose an octave. "Ms. Chen, Your species' work output has been classified as biologically improbable by the Galactic Labor Council. You're telling me this is artificially enhanced by continuous stimulant consumption? Pretty much, Sarah admitted. Most humans don't really wake up until after their first cup. The classroom fell into stunned silence as they processed this information. The Deathworlders weren't just surviving on their nightmare planet. They were chemically enhancing themselves to push beyond their natural limits. A junior student, a small insectoid named Click, raised a trembling appendage. Professor, if humans require this substance to function normally, what are they like when they're fully supplied with it? The question hung in the air ominously. Zixthar accessed human performance data. His crystalline structure dimmed. According to these records, humans on optimal coffee consumption demonstrate increased cognitive processing, enhanced physical performance, elevated mood, and decreased perception of fatigue. He paused. This means every human we've encountered in diplomatic situations has been operating in a chemically enhanced state. Not enhanced, Sarah corrected softly. Normal. For us. The distinction was terrifying. Professor Zixthar made a decision. Ms. Chen, I'm authorizing an emergency requisition from the human embassy. We'll have your coffee within the hour. Really? Sarah's eyes brightened marginally. Indeed. Partly for humanitarian reasons, Zixthar admitted, but primarily because having a Deathworlder operating below optimal capacity in my classroom violates 17 safety protocols. If this is your species' baseline requirement, then we must accommodate it. When the coffee arrived, imported, at tremendous expense through 3 hyperspace, jumps, Sarah consumed it while the entire class watched, with the horrified fascination of xenobiologists observing a predator feed. The transformation was remarkable. Within minutes, color returned to her face. Her eyes brightened. Her posture straightened. She smiled, actually smiled, and several students instinctively moved back. Much better, Sarah said cheerfully. Sorry about that, everyone. Where were we in the lesson? Professor Zixthar looked at his now alert student and made a mental note to update his lecture materials. Humans, he had learned, were not just survivors of a death world. They were a species that had looked at a toxic stimulant and decided to build their entire civilization around it. And that, he thought, explained a great deal about humanity's rapid expansion through the galaxy. Class dismissed, he announced, suddenly needing time to process the implications. I need to recalculate everything I thought I knew about human performance baselines. As the students filed out, Morp oozed up to Sarah. So, humans really do run on rocket fuel? Sarah took another sip of her coffee and grinned. You have no idea.